I think most Cleveland fans are over this or whatever. Bill Belichick will be going to his 8th Super Bowl in 18 years with the New England Patriots. 8 in 18 years. This is a typical kind of Cleveland thing we do. We ask, well, what if? What if Belichick had stayed as coach of the Browns and the Browns had stayed here? Would the same thing have happened? Well, I don't think 8 in 18 years, unless he was going to somehow run into Tom Brady. But I went back and looked, and I've long had a theory on Belichick's career, which is this. Cleveland served as the training wheels, period, for him. We know he was here with all these young executives and coaches. Nick Saban was his defensive coordinator for a while. Scott Pioli was a young executive here. Phil Savage was a young executive here. And there were many others. Kurt Ferentz, coach at Iowa for a long time, was on his staff. But when Belichick was here, he was a young man with a lot of hubris. And he really kind of thought it was my way or the highway. He also fell into a habit of some young football people, which is I could get a guy who's physically talented in a draft and kind of just coach him up. I could deal with some of the bad attitudes and coach him up. And of course, if you look back at Belichick's drafts in the early 90s, they're not very good in Cleveland. They really aren't. He was fired after the 95 season. Now, in 1994, Belichick was 11-5. And they won a playoff game. And then next year, actually, when the move hit and everything else, the Browns were 4-4. So they were playing reasonably well, although he had just benched Vinny Testaverde and was playing Eric Zaire. I wanted to check my memory to see if that was right, and I had to look it up, and I don't even know why I remembered Eric Zaire. He had another quarterback. But so he was already kind of getting disgruntled with his quarterbacks. When the Browns and Modell moved to Baltimore, Belichick was fired. They struggled after that. Then Belichick had to go back to his mentor, Bill Parcells, first as an assistant in New England, then as an assistant with the New York Jets. And then when his second time around came for a chance to be a head coach with New England, I think Bill had spent a lot of time kind of looking at what went right in Cleveland, what went wrong. And one of the things he realized was his drafting needed to have a change of philosophy. I talked to someone who is very close to Belichick, and he told me that one of the things that really helped Belichick is Belichick brought in Scott Pioli to be like his head of his draft and that, and Pioli and Belichick altered their philosophy, going more for, quote, football players as opposed to kind of these combine guys. Would that have happened had Belichick not lost his job, if he had not had to go back under Bill Parcells, by the way, who's a very difficult man to work for, and then gotten a second chance? I kind of doubt it. I think most of us learn through failure and we learn through pain. And hopefully we learn more from pain other than I just don't like pain. We learn, okay, this is what caused me pain. You know, so Belichick, look, he's the Paul Brown of the modern NFL. You know, he's an innovator, all these things, remarkably consistent. He did start his career in Cleveland. Cleveland helped turn him into the Bill Belichick we see today. But had he just stayed here and nothing changed, I doubt that would have happened.